NBA today, the aforementioned Kelsey Mitchell. Congrats on your and congrats on your 34-point performance. What did you have working there in game one for you?
I think it was just about having confidence, for one, leaning on my preparation, and then my teammates, our chemistry,
Kelsey
everything
Mitchell
we've been through this
has
season,
finally spoken.
kind of put us in
After
position
what feels
to really
like an eternity of careful.
After what feels like an eternity of carefully crafted sound bites, media narratives spun by outsiders, and endless speculation from every corner of the sports world, the veteran soul of the Indiana Fever finally pulled back the curtain. She didn't just answer a question. She dropped a truth bomb. And in doing so, she delivered a masterclass in leadership, loyalty, and emotional intelligence. The cameras captured every syllable, every subtle inflection. And now the entire WNBA universe is buzzing, trying to decode the layers. Is this simply admiration? The quiet spark of a professional rivalry? Or is it the most brutally honest, strategically brilliant, and refreshingly real teammate assessment we've witnessed in professional sports in decades? That, my friends, is for you to decide.
And then you bring in Caitlin, who changed the world, changed the dynamic of basketball. And as a friend and as a player, you better appreciate her because, certain doors have opened because she's come to the Fever, and you have to respect that. And I love the teammate and person in her because she's accepted it with so much grace and even welcomed us with open arms to, make this thing happen. So I think it just took a lot of big pieces to make, what it is now.
But before we dive into the heart of the matter, here's a question for you. And I want you to think deeply about it. Do you believe Caitlin Clark has fundamentally and irrevocably changed the sport of basketball, not just for women, but as a global phenomenon? Could this be the single most significant paradigm shift in modern sports? Let your voice be heard in the comments below.
Or somebody took care of it for her. I love it because as much people don't know this about Caitlin, but she has an unbelievable, funny sense of humor. And so I think the tweet was the tweet, but you just have to know CC to know that it's just nothing but love coming from that kid, and her energy and her effort to just kind of support our team is just her way of doing it.
Let's properly set the stage, because without context, the weight of Mitchell's words gets lost. Understand this. Anytime a player, coach, or even a water boy for the Indiana Fever steps within 10 feet of a microphone, the Clark question is coming. It's an absolute certainty. A predictable, almost Pavlovian reflex from the media. You could be breaking down the details of a new defensive scheme, discussing a crucial upcoming road trip, or even talking about your favorite pregame meal. And then, like an eclipse, it descends. But what about Caitlin? This time, the person in the hot seat wasn't just another player. It was Kelsey Mitchell.
Made the playoffs the last two. What's been the big turnaround? How have you viewed the way the team has grown organically?
Oh, man, I think a big shout out to the organization taking time to rebuild. I think our draft picks ended up coming big. Lexi Hall was a big draft pick, and then you get Kaylin, and then you get AB. And so you culminate that together with, my experience and having to, go through a couple things before they got there. I think it was just like a match made in heaven, really, because I was, still at a young age to really, vibe and get to know these players for who they were. And then you bring in Kaylin, who changed the world, changed the dynamic of basketball. And as a friend and as a player, you better appreciate her because, certain doors have opened because she's come to the Fever, and you have to respect that. And
let that name resonate for a moment. This is the same Kelsey Mitchell who, for years, was the franchise's lone flickering star in a sea of darkness. She was the one who carried this team through its bleakest, most desolate days. She was the warrior on the court when an Indiana Fever victory wasn't just an upset, it was a miracle. We're talking about the era of winning 5 games in an entire season. 5. You could count them on one hand and still have fingers left to wave goodbye to playoff hopes in May. That was the professional abyss she not only survived, but endured with class. That was the psychological weight she carried. While the rest of the league viewed a game against Indiana as a glorified scrimmage, a night to pad stats and rest starters in the fourth quarter, she was tasked with pushing a boulder of mediocrity uphill every single night. Often the only player in double digits, only to then face the cameras and talk about building blocks and positive takeaways after a 20-point loss.
I thought it was really poor, really poor.
Kelsey Mitchell, what about
the way she was playing today made it so difficult?
Well, one, she made every freaking shot, it seemed like. Long twos, short twos, threes, get the free throw line,
So when Kelsey Mitchell finally speaks, truly speaks, on the Caitlin Clark phenomenon, you know it's not going to be a fabricated, PR-polished media train line. It won't be one of those hollow, pre-packaged, "Oh, she's great. She's a wonderful teammate. She's helping us a lot." No, those are the answers of people with something to hide. Mitchell's words were authentic, raw, and layered with the hard-earned wisdom of a survivor. And what did she do? She validated what every single person with a pair of eyes already knows, but sometimes hesitates to say out loud for fear of feeding the hype machine. Caitlin Clark didn't just change the Indiana Fever. She changed the entire ecosystem of basketball.
You were an MVP finalist this year with our own Chiney Ogwumike even saying that you had the best season of any guard this year in the league. What has it been like to get that kind of recognition and get your flowers?
Oh, I appreciate it. I've been to a lot throughout the course of my career with Indiana Fever. It's been like my longest, ever. So it's for me, it's a humbling experience to kind of see myself make waves from where it started to where it is now, and just kind of respect the game, lean on the game as far as creating bonds and friendships. And now you get to see us do that now, a couple years later.
Kelsey said it herself, and her words landed with the force of a tectonic shift. Caitlin Clark changed the game, changed the entire dynamic of basketball. That's not small talk. That's not exaggeration. That's a seismic acknowledgement from the one person who had every right to feel resentment. The original cornerstone, the star who carried Indiana first, looking straight into the camera and essentially declaring, yes, without Caitlin Clark, none of this happens. The sold-out arenas that roar every night, the primetime national TV slots the Fever now command, the global media attention that follows their every move, and the most remarkable part, the complete and utter absence of jealousy in her tone. No bitterness, no passive-aggressive shade, just pure, unfiltered respect from one elite professional to another. But don't confuse that with surrender. This is where Kelsey Mitchell's brilliance shines brightest. She didn't forget her own value. In the same breath, she masterfully slipped in the reminder that she has been here all along, grinding in the trenches, absorbing the losses, and shouldering the franchise long before Clark's jet touched down in Indianapolis. That is an undeniable truth. Without Mitchell's relentless scoring, unwavering consistency, and her willingness to be the face of the franchise during its lowest years, Caitlin Clark wouldn't have a stage this powerful to perform on. Fans in today's glittering era of Fever basketball forget, or conveniently ignore, that Mitchell is one of the most underrated and lethal scorers in the entire WNBA. She doesn't grace the magazine covers or land the blockbuster endorsements, but she is the backbone that kept Indiana from collapsing into irrelevance. She wasn't just keeping the lights on. She was the power plant. Let's rewind. When Lexi Hull, the scrappy defensive specialist, was drafted, Indiana was still the league's punchline. Mitchell smiled through pressers, pretending 5 wins meant progress. Then came Aaliyah Boston, a generational post talent, a beacon of hope. Then Clark, the supernova, bending the entire sports world to her will. Slowly, the foundation shifted, and Mitchell, the seasoned veteran, adapted. She didn't sulk. She didn't demand a trade. She didn't leak frustrations about touches. She embraced reinforcements as overdue allies, not threats. That's why her words carry gospel weight. When she says Caitlin Clark changed the game, it isn't hype. It's a survivor co-signing a paradigm shift. Mitchell has lived both versions of Indiana Fever basketball, the quiet embarrassment and the roaring rebirth. And she knows exactly which one sells out arenas, secures TV deals, and fills players' pockets. But this story runs deeper than professional respect. Mitchell called Caitlin not just a teammate, but a friend. She praised her for welcoming the team from day one and handling suffocating spotlight pressure with grace beyond her years. That matters. Sports are filled with super teams that implode under ego clashes. But Clark didn't bring chaos. She became the sun around which everyone thrived. And Mitchell's star shines brighter because of it. Her profile has never been higher. Her scoring is lethal. And finally, she's getting the recognition she's always deserved. Ironically, Clark's arrival forced the world to see Mitchell's greatness. Without Clark, Mitchell might still be the WNBA's best-kept secret. With Clark, the secret is out. Consider the fine tweet. When Clark made a self-deprecating joke online, critics called it arrogant. But in the Fever locker room, players laughed. Mitchell said they loved it. It showed Clark's humor, a side outsiders never see. That's the difference. Outsiders hunt controversy. Teammates see the person. Mitchell's reaction, relax, it's just Caitlin being funny, proved the locker room is solid. If Clark were disliked, that tweet would have sparked chaos. Instead, it bonded them further. And that leads to the true nightmare for the rest of the WNBA. The core four: Mitchell, Clark, Boston, and Hull. A foundation for a dynasty. Mitchell even hinted she'd take a pay cut to keep it together. In an era defined by get-the-bag mentality, that's extraordinary. But Mitchell sees the future in Fever Red. This isn't just a playoff run. It's a legacy. For years, Indiana was the league's punchline. Now, they're the main storyline. Friendship, chemistry, and grit fuel them. And it works. Mitchell believes in it. Clark drives it. Boston anchors it. Hull sacrifices for it. Together, they've turned disaster into contender. And everyone knows next season could be even scarier. Bottom line, Mitchell's comments weren't throwaway quotes. They were a manifesto, a declaration of belief in Clark's impact and in the Fever's championship future. She isn't jealous. She isn't bitter. She's motivated, a leader, the steady heartbeat of a team on the edge of greatness. That's who you want beside you when building something historic. So now the question is for the rest of the league. Will they finally realize what they're facing or keep underestimating the powerhouse chemistry brewing in Indiana? Because if Mitchell, Clark, Boston, and Hull stay together, the WNBA doesn't just have a new contender. It has a dynasty in the making, a blueprint for the future. So ask yourself, are we watching the rise of the next great sports dynasty? Not built on one superstar's brilliance, but on the radical power of respect and friendship?